Birmingham Sports
with Ben Ellis.
This is BHBN Radio.
It is the Monday after from Birmingham Sport, BHBM Radio, Birmingham's Hospital Radio Network. And what we do is we review the action that we've brought you across the wards over the course of the weekend. I'm Ben Ellis, going to be your chair for however long we are going to do this. We've got a lot to get through, actually. And I've got Enter Barefoot with us, Kim Smith, and Ed Mackay, who is at Selhurst Park as we're recording now because he's just watched Wolves lose by a 1-0 against Crystal Palace. We won't deal with the pleasantries because we're short on time, and I'm not in that good a mood, to be quite honest. So we will start, I think, with West Bromwich Albion, because I think this is getting very serious now. A 2-0 defeat at home against Coventry City. Maybe that was to be expected. Coventry City, long-time leaders of the Championship, more than likely going to be in the Premier League next season. So, as we said, not particularly a surprising result. But it's getting serious in terms of the way the fans are feeling about the direction the club is going, about the leadership in terms of the head coach or manager, in terms of Eric Ramsay. And as we're saying, we're doing this at just after 4:00 on a Sunday afternoon. We don't know what the situation is by the time we release this video. I'm going to go to Enton Barefoot first, who was in the BHBN studio on Saturday afternoon, reacting to that game just as it was finishing. As I said, we don't know by the time this goes out what the situation is, but it's definitely Enton getting very toxic at West Brom.
Yes, it's not worked out with the new manager coming in at the moment, is it? So I think that's maybe 5 or 6 games they've lost now, and it's a horrible situation to be in. So I think the Stoke equaliser at Leicester, that just gave West Brom a bit of a reprieve, I suppose, because it just puts them above Leicester. So I don't know what to say anymore, because I think once you're in that kind of form, you're exiting the relegation door, aren't you? So they need to do something really quick.
Well, it's no win in 8. It's no win in 8 in all competitions under Eric Ramsay. No goals at all in the last 4 games either, which is also something of a concern. And Ed Mackay, who is, as we said, at Selhurst Park, watches plenty of West Bromwich Albion for BHBN. Wasn't a particularly good day for them in terms of other results, except for Leicester conceding late to draw at Stoke, meaning that they stay out of the bottom 3, but Portsmouth winning yesterday, even Oxford getting a draw at Middlesbrough, Blackburn winning on
Friday
against Preston. And when you get to the point where, from a fan's point, we don't have a legitimate West Brom fan with us here, but I'm sure if Jonathan Wimbush was with us, he'd say the same thing. When you start actually taking your eyes off of your own team when you're in the doldrums and you start looking elsewhere for what's going on, you're in trouble then.
Yeah, I said it, didn't I, on Friday night when we were discussing it with the team. The issue is that if West Brom aren't going to do their own job, if they're not going to take responsibility for their own results, and they're always going to be looking around for, will Leicester be deducted more points? That already tells you how much trouble you're in. And also, I think a few of us were in agreement that the Eric Ramsay appointment was a little bit strange because it was so like for like in terms of somebody learning on the job. So you might as well have left Ryan Mason in charge, but it had got toxic with him. But the complaints that I heard from West Brom fans I spoke to yesterday were that they feel he is tactically inept. They think he's trying to play a system that he hasn't got the players for. They get caught all the time whenever they try to break, and as a result, they don't score and they concede. And that means that you lose games of football. And the other issue on top of that is that when the fans aren't behind the manager and that starts to creep in, we've seen it at Wolves earlier this season, that creeps into the players and the players stop responding to the manager's message as well. So they really are in a lot of trouble because they can't score goals, they concede too many, people don't believe in the manager, and the fans are getting really disheartened. So, negativity on top of negativity, I'm afraid.
And the players backing off as well. When, I mean, you look at the
What's
second
that
goal
about?
in particular. There's no doubt about that. But I mean, yes, you can certainly look at the players. You can certainly look at the management on the field. But the board have got to get some kind of football nous into that boardroom, haven't they? And to start making some actually sensible football decisions
Did
going
anybody
forward.
think when they fired Ryan Mason that they weren't going to just go and get Neil Warnock
Well, I don't know.
to guide them out of this,
I mean,
or of that somebody of that type?
Yeah.
it's true though. I mean, but also, I mean, it covers different ownership. But if you think back, Carlos Corberán, he knew this was coming with West Bromwich Albion. There's no question in my mind. He wrung every single drop out of the squad that he had to get them to the position that they were in, and could do literally no more with them. And then an offer came in for his hometown club back in Spain, and he jumped at it completely out of the blue just before Christmas. Get Rob Richards out of shot. Right, so I'm the only one who can see that, by the way, for the video. But Rob Richards is photobombing Ed Mackay at Selhurst Park. I was mid-flow then, Richards. I'll get you for that. So, anyway, Carlos Corberán is what we were saying. So, he, just before Christmas 2024, announces that he's leaving the club completely out of nowhere. Do you know what? That feels like it was about 5 years ago now. It wasn't. It was 14 months ago.
Yeah.
And
it does. It feels like a different era
absolutely
of the club, and it was a year ago. I know.
Absolutely,
absolutely right.
And they're not as, in terms of the squad, they're not as good as they were then because of the players that have left. And if you look, and we talked about the other results, who was scoring goals? John Swift for Portsmouth. You know, the lad who went to Southampton, Tom Fellows, he's making a difference there. The lads who all went to Ipswich, they're in the top three in the division. It's not rocket science. This Andrew Morgan's joined us as well, which is lovely. Kim, what are the parallels here with Blues 2 years ago?
Oh yeah, so many good players going. The turnover of managers. You hear West Brom fans on phone-ins now, and they sound broken the way our fans sounded broken 2 years ago. But I think one of the problems for West Brom is, okay, you can present it any way you like, but Blues managed to buy their way out of League One quickly because they'd got the income generation. The PSR rules are different in League One, and they were able to put it together to get out of the division quickly. The thing I really fear for West Brom is if they go down, they won't necessarily be able to do the bounce back because they haven't got the nous on the board and they can't generate the income.
No, and the cautionary tale here is Sheffield Wednesday, because that has happened today as we're recording. They've been the first team ever in Football League history to be relegated in February because of the points deduction that they had for going into administration. Ironically, at the home of their deadliest rivals in Sheffield United. But it's a cautionary tale as well. Yes, Blues had changed ownership, but they had set their stall out of what their plans and ambitions were going forward. So we said at the time 2 years ago, it wasn't so much a relegation for Blues as a reset, another word beginning with R. It remains.
Can I just quickly interject on that last point there, Ben?
Go on.
Just to say that, like, if West Brom go down, like, so are the board going to make a decision before the inevitable and then change the manager again? Or then is it the case of they'll change the manager if they potentially go down?
That's the problem, Ensign, because Blues had a clear plan, a clear strategy of what they were going to do going forward. They had set their stall out. They were going to take League One by the scruff of the neck and went up with a record points total. I don't see Sheffield Wednesday doing that next season. And bear in mind, the previous guy at West Brom, Mr. Lai, he took out a £20 million loan against the club, and he loaned it to himself. Yeah. So, I mean, you could talk about the present board who came in and the decisions they're making, and yes, they have to stand up to some kind of scrutiny about that. But the damage that the previous regime had done is absolutely ridiculous. Andrew Morgan, sir, where are you? You seem to be at a stadium.
I am indeed. So I'm at the Sia Stadium, formerly New Bucks Head in Telford. I've been on double duty with the Wolves ladies team this last week. So on Wednesday they were playing Sporting Causa in Willenhall, which for those of you who were at the Wolves game or saw the Wolves game, it was that weather. Again, it was awful. It was so cold. And they won 3-0 very comfortably.
Just so we don't run out of time later, and so we don't seem just tell us a bit about the whole story as far as that's concerned.
Yeah, so Wolves ladies are in the league below the WSL2. So they're in the National Premier League. They are 1 point behind Burnley, who are top of the league at the moment, point behind them with a game in hand. They've won 2 games this week, obviously, to get themselves into that position, and they've got essentially the title decider against Burnley on the 15th of March, which is going to be really crucial. And there was a little bit of controversy last year. Wolves ladies didn't put in the necessary paperwork in order to go up to WSL2 if they'd been promoted. That's all gone in and been submitted this year. So if they win, they're up and they can start to make that progression up to full-time professional and then bring in everything in that comes with the money from the WSL and the support from there as well. So exciting times for Wolves ladies, even though Wolves men are going in the opposite direction.
Well, we will get to that very shortly. And what I would say is this: what's the name of the ground you're at? What's it called?
So it's the old New Bucks Head, which is Telford United's ground.
Okay.
It's now called the Sia Stadium, S-E-A-H.
Okay. And within the frame of the camera that you're in front of, it actually looks better than Selhurst Park, where Ed Mackay is right now. That's interesting.
Yeah, I know. It looked like he was literally on a gantry.
Premier League stadium. As far as West Brom is concerned, we'll wrap this up now. It is a massive game against Charlton on Tuesday night. There can be no excuses. In many ways, the performance doesn't matter. They just have to win the game. Win the game, hook or by crook. Even if it's like the way Liverpool just won the game in the Premier League, right? Just the one that didn't count, the one that some say should have counted, the one the deflected goal off a clearance, and that's that. Yeah, we'll move on. We'll stay in the Championship, actually, while we're talking about it. I heard the words when I was coming out of Villa Park yesterday, Kim, having just watched Villa against Leeds, but I kept hearing the words statement win as far as Blues were concerned at Norwich. Was it a case of that?
It was a pretty good 3 points, you've got to say, because okay, Blues have picked up the away form a bit, but they were playing teams who were right down the bottom of the Championship. But Norwich had been in pretty good form since Clement took over. And okay, they had to do an awful lot of defending in the second half, particularly the last 15 minutes, but the first 15 minutes was a blooming good statement of intent. First goal for Vicente with some great movement from him again, and Priska setting up Duck for his 9th of the season. And that was a good one. And obviously they're off to Millwall in, I think, Wednesday. Millwall, who historically we haven't done that well against in recent years, but we did turn them over 4-0.
That's right.
At home. So I'm sure Blues fans are going to be hoping that they can get something at the Den and get out alive.
Absolutely, and up to 7th now in the Championship. It's I mean, the top of the Championship is incredible. I mean, you've got Coventry, you've got Middlesbrough, you've got Ipswich. It's going to be 2 from 3 as far as those are concerned. Can anybody pick who the next 3 teams are going to be? I mean, it's so tight, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's going to be really tight.
Yeah, it just depends who's gonna go on the run at the right time. You know, who's got the sprint finish sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it could be any of about 6 other teams, I think, still at the moment. So, and a lot of it is going to depend on injuries, suspensions, in nicking the odd Liverpool style winner or
It's going to be the Liverpool style winner. Very much.
Yeah.
Just to redress the balance, right? Historically, Liverpool have suffered from a goal that hit a beach ball that went past them. So they can always say, you know, if you got lucky, you know, it does work both ways. But
I
there
like
we
the
are.
way me and Enton are staying muted.
No,
through all
it's
this
fine. It's
nonsense.
absolutely fine.
Listen, if you win games, if you fight till the end, and if you fight till the end and get a chance and score it, you win the game.
Got to keep going. That's what it's all about.
There's a W in the record books in the years to
That's
come.
right. That's all that matters. Absolutely true. But go on.
Can I come in on Birmingham City, Ben?
Yeah, please do.
Because I think you're right in saying there's sort of like 6 points that separate about 10 teams down to about 14th in the Championship. I haven't actually looked this morning, but what I will say is for the last few weeks, and since we sort of wrapped up the transfer show, I've been saying that I thought Birmingham's business in the market in January would be what propelled them into potentially a playoff place. Last week, I was raving about the way Vicente played against Leeds and the fact that a Premier League team couldn't handle him. And I thought yesterday he was the difference in the first half against Norwich again, because he has this kind of he can go on the inside or on the outside. And if you've got a winger who a fullback is always second guessing, you more often than not you can get yourself into the box, and if you get into the box, things happen. So I thought he was phenomenal yesterday, and I do think that the backup players that Birmingham now have, because we thought maybe they would strengthen their squad, but actually they've bought a few players who can go straight into that team. Their first signing, Wagner, again, he's gone straight in, settled in, and I had a feeling actually that they would take the game to Norwich, and that is a massive 3 points. I think statement win is a good way of putting it, actually.
Well, while it's there, you've got to go for it. You've got to have that in your sights, and it has to be a target. Going back to January, my feeling was, and people may disagree, is that the business that they did was almost to prepare them for next season. I don't think this summer you'll see Blues do all that much in the transfer window.
No, I agree.
I think they will move on the players who are out of contract. They will possibly move on the players who've got a year or so left, who are more of the League One, lower half of the Championship level. And I think the plan is, if they don't get up this season, is to start next season the way Coventry have this season.
Now, people. Sorry to interrupt. People talk a lot about January being a difficult time to buy players, but more often than not, it's actually a really astute time to buy players, because you give your newbies, if you like, a sort of 6 month run in before any expectations are placed upon them. So they've got that time period to actually bed in, and then they hit the ground running. You've mentioned Liverpool a few times. Liverpool have done that on a number of occasions.
Yep.
Luis Suarez was a January buy. Virgil van Dijk was a January buy. Luis Diaz was a January buy. And the start of the next season, they were already bedded in, ready to go. So it does work. And Birmingham, I think, have done something quite savvy with that.
Morgan Rogers was a January buy,
yes,
as far as Aston Villa are concerned. But talking about how tight it is in terms of the playoff push, just looking at the remaining fixtures for Blues, I'm not going to go through them all here, but Millwall on Wednesday night, but they've still got to play Middlesbrough, Sheffield United, Derby, Ipswich, Wrexham, Hull, Preston, and Bristol City before the end of the season. So if Blues aren't going to get in the top six, they're going to have a big say on who does. And that's important. It's absolutely doing terrific at the moment. Final word on Blues, Kim?
Keep at it, chaps.
Indeed. Just pin that up on the dressing room wall. Kim Smith, keep at it, chaps. So, okay, fair enough. Monday after from Birmingham Sport BHBM Radio, we'll take a quick break and we'll look at this weekend's Premier League action very shortly.
BHBN Radio has been going since 1952. It is run entirely by volunteers, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Right now, BHBN needs friends like you to ensure it can broadcast to hospitals, care homes, and into the community for many more years to come. You can help by donating through our Just GoFundMe account. It's easy. Simply go to our website, bhbn.net, scan our GoFundMe QR code, and in a few clicks, you can help us out. If you're a taxpayer, you can give 25% more through gift aid at no extra cost to you.
BHBN Radio.
It's the Monday after from Birmingham Sport, BHBN Radio. We're recording this on a Sunday afternoon, just after Crystal Palace have beaten Wolves by a goal to nil. We'll do this game now in case Ed Mackay, who is at Selhurst Park, gets kicked out of the press box anytime soon. Because when we do these post-match ones, you've always got one eye on stewards. You can't help it. You're thinking that they're going to get rid of me anytime soon. So we'll do this now. It's a weird one, this, following it on Sunday afternoon. I mean, obviously, the apathy that's around Crystal Palace and Oliver Glasner, given his remarks on Friday, could it be Glasner's last game in charge? Could it certainly be his last Premier League game in charge? They might keep him in charge for the second leg of the Europa League clash. Wolves have gone there. Could have made a big difference to the atmosphere, having got the penalty in the first half. One of the worst penalties I've ever seen from Arukadari, though, Ed. I mean, you're there.
Oh, mate, honestly, the thing is that apathy or that discontent was in the air. I spoke to a couple of Crystal Palace fans because you've commented on we're in quite a sort of an old part of the ground where the gantry is, and they are definitely sort of a bit miffed, if you like, because they just don't feel there's any urgency from the bench with the way the team are approaching the football, and that was evident in the first half. They weren't even really trying to get up the pitch. I'll tell you who really I was really unimpressed with, and that's Adam Wharton. He had about 6 touches of the ball in the whole of the first half. And Wolves, to be fair to them, were fighting. They were trying to get up the pitch. It's just that they're not clinical in the final third, as we know. But that young Matthias Mane, is an absolute talent. He gets himself into the box. Actually, it was a great run from Mascara that made the chance. But you almost, you'd have put your mortgage on Mane scoring from his position, wins the penalty. Arukadare stepped up really confidently, put the ball down, and then, as you say, one of the worst pens I've ever seen, not hit with any conviction. Dean Henderson barely had to dive to stop it going in.
Absolutely right.
But even in the second half, when they came out, Wolves looked like the more likely to actually score a goal, even though neither team looked like they were going to score a goal. Wolves looked the more likely right up until the moment that Krejci decided to have 5 minutes of madness and just maraud around his area on the pitch, picking up yellow cards for no good reason. It was really bonkers way to let your team down. What I will say is Oliver Glasner, there was a lot of talk, as you said, at the end of the week regarding his future. He was jumping around in the technical area for the whole 90 minutes. Rob Edwards didn't even come out into his technical area off the bench until they went round to 10 men. So it was really odd. The whole feel of the game was really strange because at one point I did say, we could play till midnight, no one's going to score, in the hope that it would mean that I'd be wrong and someone would score. And
that's what we all do that as commentators. That's like when somebody lights a cigarette at a bus stop thinking the bus is never coming, and then the bus comes and you have to stop it out. I said it yesterday, a minute before Villa scored. I said Villa could be playing till midnight here and they're not going to score, and then they did. The red card for
interesting. Yeah, sorry, go on.
There was some speculation from different sources. I mean, you're there at the game, in that Krejci is claiming that he hasn't heard the whistle blow from the referee for the foul that he committed, and he's claiming that the ball hadn't crossed the line, so he was just clearing it when that isn't what happened. It's ridiculous.
Absolute nonsense, because his first foul, the ball has already gone when he runs over and elbows Sarr in the rib cage. Then he knew he'd fouled him because he threw himself on the floor and held his head, thinking he'd get the game. So I was thinking the game's definitely going to stop. You fouled somebody off the ball. So then it was a needless yellow card because Sarr was on the halfway line going nowhere, and he's ran over and elbowed him clear as day, about 5 feet away from the referee. The second time, he may well have thought he'd kept the ball in when he ran after it, but the linesman this time is standing about 3 yards away from him, holding the flag out to say it's a throw-in away from you. And he looks at him, then boots the ball up the line. So he knew the throw-in had been given. And actually, it was just petulance. really.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he was annoyed that they had thought, he was thinking, no, I definitely kept that in. Who cares? The decision's been made and you've kicked the ball away. So there were two deserved yellow cards. And then also he stayed on the pitch for ages remonstrating. They're not going to, there's nobody to overturn the decision. It's been made.
Well,
the referee's not going to suddenly say, actually, you're right, I changed my mind. VAR aren't going to intervene. So I don't know what he thought he was doing. And after that, all of his teammates who had been fighting really hard they just looked a bit disappointed because Aruka Dare had stood up there for the whole game, holding the ball up. I'm sure we've all seen him play live. He gets manhandled and he still wins every single header, chests it down, plays Mane through. And now he's got to stand on the edge of his own box and defend for, 30 minutes because they're down to 10 men. I just thought it was a really stupid way to let your teammates down.
Yeah, and of course, VAR can't overturn a second yellow, so that was done. I mean, Enton, I'll come to you quickly on this one. I mean, even if he feels he has a case, which Ed has just said very well that he believes he doesn't, but even if you as a player believe you have a case, and it drives me absolute batty this. Why do footballers give officials the opportunity to make decisions? Right, because because even with the best will in the world, I'd love one to sit here in front of us and say, no, this is not true. Referees love getting those cards out if the camera's on them. They love being at the centre of attention. I think we saw that probably in the Villa Newcastle game last weekend. Don't give them a decision to make. Be responsible for you.
Yeah, there's no need. There's like Edge just said. There is no need to get any. The only thing he needs to do is get back in his position when the throw-in was given. So there is. I don't understand the mentality because now he gets banned. Yeah, so he's not going to miss that game. He's going to miss a couple more, and he's needed.
Yeah, and it's the Villa game. So that's on the Friday night.
Of it all. It's the after effect of his choices. He's a grown man.
Yeah.
He's a professional footballer. Of course, they get petulant and all that. I get that, but he's now going to be banned for 2 or 3 games.
Well, they need a point. Wolves need a point.
Yeah,
they'd have gone level. They'd have gone level with the Derby. Yeah. Everybody's talking about the Derby tally. They'd have gone level with this. Now, the incentive. I mean, Evan Gesson frustratingly scores the winner, looking like a footballer all of a sudden. Now that he's on loan somewhere else.
Actually, you know what? He was here, there, and everywhere when he came on the pitch. Yeah. I thought, you didn't do that much running when you were at Villa.
So irritating. But it is the Villa game that Krejci will miss. It's on Friday night, but the incentive for Wolves now will be to beat a local rival and overturn Derby's points tally. As far as Villa are concerned, so we brought it to you live across the ward yesterday against Leeds. It was a rather frustrating affair from a Villa fan's point of view. Leeds were more than worthy of the result that they got. They'll feel aggrieved that they didn't walk away from Villa Park with all 3 points. Some free kick from Anton Stack, and if anybody remembers, and we said this during the commentary. Same ground, same two teams. 26 years ago, Benito Carboni scores in the FA Cup for Aston Villa. Difference being that this was a dead ball and Carboni stopped the ball. Exact same area of the pitch, and he finds the same area of the net, catching the keeper out. And sometimes, I mean, even though it was against your team, sometimes you got to hold your hands up and say, "Fair play." That was a brilliant free kick from Anton Stack, and for long periods, there wasn't much from Villa at all. And but we talked about January business, and Tammy Abraham has now got 2-2 in all competitions. And Ed, the kind of instinctive striker's finish that we're just not seeing from others.
Well, I thought Ollie Watkins was a really frustrating watch yesterday. Actually, he was offside too often.
He was.
He didn't show the killer instinct that you need from a number 9. Now, Ollie Watkins is a great player. We've had this conversation on our show before, but Tammy Abrahams he's got ice in his veins when the ball comes in the box. He's going to put the ball in the back of the net, and he did it, and that's why they went out and got him in January. I will say, Leeds sort of did to Villa what Villa have been doing to other teams, didn't they? They just scored a banger out of nowhere
Yeah,
and put them under pressure.
They did.
Because Leeds weren't. It's not like Leeds were bossing the game, but they got that magnificent goal, and it shell shocks everyone, and that's what Villa have been doing to so many teams. Because when you're shell shocked at the ball's even gone in the back of the net, it takes you a few minutes to find your bearings again on the pitch, and that's what it looked like to me.
Well, I don't want to brag too much, but Enton can back this up because he would have heard it as we said it on air yesterday. We said at the top of the show that Villa Park has gone from being an impenetrable fortress to a sandcastle at high tide. And I was quite pleased. I didn't even write that down; just come at the top of my head. But it's true though, isn't it? Once Everton a few weeks ago showed everybody how to play Villa at Villa Park. Most teams, Brentford did it. Brighton did it for up to 85 minutes. Newcastle was different because Villa had gone down to 10 men. But for large periods, Leeds did it as well. Now the problem is the first choice midfield is not out there, and it's obvious, and it's not an excuse. Injuries are never an excuse. We know that Kamara is going to be out for the rest of the season, maybe even the start of next season as well. What's disappointing about that is he'd have been in the French World Cup squad. There's no question about that. So he misses that. John McGinn's in a race to get fit for Scotland, so he'll want to get back as soon as possible. But from Villa's point of view, I'm not overly worried about McGinn. McGinn doesn't play 90 minutes anyway. He always comes off at the 70-minute mark. So that's a significant portion of the game where you have to do without John McGinn, and I think it's what they're used to. Tielemans is the one. Tielemans is the one they've got to get back ASAP into that side. He's the one that can unlock defences. He's the one that can pick a pass. Douglas Luiz, best will in the world, he ain't going to do that. Onana, he's going to try and play the camera role. Is it time for a start for Ross Barkley? I mean, he came on along with Jadon Sancho yesterday, and it did make a difference. I mean, Bailey
he can pick a pass, Ross Barkley.
He can pick a pass. Hasn't got 90 minutes, or certainly a start in him in terms of his long-term fitness. But Ed, do you think it's worth a go?
Well, I think they need to do something to freshen up, because that fight for 4/5 is going to heat up now, and it's going to go to the wire probably, because Man United, Liverpool and Chelsea are going to smell blood in the water. There's only 6 points, one loss, and you're reeled right into that fight. And, we've said all along that championship place is Villa's to lose. But they need to do something to freshen that up and get some legs in the middle of the park so that they can dominate a game and take some pressure off. Otherwise, that opportunity could slip away. It doesn't take long. It's not that dissimilar from what we were saying about the playoffs. You string 2 or 3 wins together, all of a sudden, you're in the driving seat in terms of getting a Champions League place. And that could be the case for Liverpool, Chelsea, or Man United, I think, if Villa don't do something to shore things up. Ross Barkley's a good shout, really, because he's a seasoned pro, and he does add a touch of calmness because he's so comfortable on the ball.
We're not going to start talking about something being Villa's to lose again, are we?
They even said it on WM yesterday.
Who are they?
Haley, if I remember rightly.
Oh, no idea who they are.
I think it was a caller.
He must have got it off us.
Crazy Shadow he went by.
Yeah. Yes, it probably was, yeah. I wonder, is he all right, though? I expected him to be here, given that we were talking West Brom, but I hope he's all right. That's part of
Can I just say about the goal, Ben? So
which
the Leeds goal.
The Leeds goal.
The Leeds goal. So as a goalkeeper, I would have never gone that far to my other side of the post. And I'm not saying that that was my position.
You're not going to stop that. He postage stamped it.
But the thing is, all I say is, I don't think I've gone that far. And by the time the strike comes in, I would move back to the middle of my goal. And I'm not saying I would have saved it. I just think the positioning to start with, I think that's a bit questionable.
That's Roy Keane business, that is.
No.
I credit the free kick.
Honestly, I've had that many free kicks. I used to practice free kicks all the time, because that's where goals are coming from. Corners, who my defenders are, who's doing the marking. All those are drills that you do on the training ground. It's just my opinion. That's all. I just thought he was too far left, too far to his left post, which didn't give him time to get back.
Okay. Absolutely fine. We're short on time, but the last thing I'd say about Villa is when they signed Ollie Watkins from Brentford, they signed him as a winger, and they won't do it because they've let Marlon go. So they're not going to start both Ollie Watkins and Tammy Abraham going forward because it stretches the squad too much. Makes you wonder why they let Marlon go, quite frankly. But if Watkins could rediscover that wing play role, Abraham is a natural finisher.
I said this to Rob Richards on the way down here today.
Give him the service, he will score. I mean, just to
Ollie
stick
Watkins is a nuisance in the left-hand channel.
Yeah, to stick your knee out like Tammy Abraham did instinctively, and get the ball over the head of a full stretch Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who was on the post to find the corner. That's instinctive centre forward play, and you've got to play to your strengths. We're almost out of time, but one thing I do want to squeeze in, you're going to be hearing a lot more on coverage on BHBN going forward, our YouTube and TikTok channels, which we do ask you to click like and subscribe. You're going to be hearing a lot more about Solihull Moors going forward. We're delighted to have struck up a partnership with the Moors. What a game they had yesterday against Hartlepool. Finished 4-3 to Hartlepool. They were 2-0 up at one point, were Solihull Moors. So there's a lot of good action to talk about as far as that is concerned, and we're going to bring more of that coverage to you going forward. It is going to be coverage of Wolves against Aston Villa on Friday night, and then another big weekend ahead of us. And next week we will react to all of that as well. For Andrew Morgan, who joined us earlier, Ensign Bear, for Ed
Birmingham Sports with Ben Ellis.
And this has been the Monday After.